helping along with my parents. Told me about the GMO stuff and all the poison that's in the plants. My name is Peter Paul. The reason that I don't want chemicals in the food because most kids are getting poisoned because they have chemicals in the food.
I'm Lori Lani Ke'ohokalole Torio, and my sons Kaua'i and Pili Pa'a are here today to support Bill 2491 and protect Kaua'i.
My name is Olivia Gagan, and I am in 7th grade at Island School. I support GMO-free koi because, first of all, there's a field right by my school. I don't know what they're spraying. I'm kind of scared that something's going to happen to some of the people who are living by there. And my mom, who's a nurse practitioner, Margie Maupin, she has seen a lot of patients in Waimea with different illnesses from that spraying, which also scares me. And that's why I support GMO-free koi.
This public hearing is called to order.
My name is Chris Broussard. I've lived and worked here since 1990. I'm here to testify in support of Bill 2491, and in doing so, I wear two hats. I am the Vice President of the Hawaii Nurses Association, and I want this committee and all present to know that the nurses of Hawaii fully support the passing of this bill. Protecting our citizens, the land, our water and ocean should be the #1 priority. As an RN, having worked at Wilcox Hospital for over 20 years, I'm very concerned over these hazardous chemicals that are being indiscriminately spread on this island, exposing those of us who are most vulnerable to their effects. I've seen patients of all ages who suffer various health problems, some very serious, after being inadvertently exposed to these chemicals that the ag companies are assuring us are safe. These patients come to our hospital suffering from respiratory problems and difficulty breathing. Some have neurological problems. They can't walk steady. They have tremors. They have overall body weakness. Their blood tests can be abnormal. They have problems with some of their organs. Their kidneys or livers aren't functioning properly. Some of these patients have been shipped to Oahu for further treatment, and some of them may never fully return to their prior state of health due to this exposure. We know that these chemicals are especially harmful to young children due to the fact that their bodies are growing and developing at a fast pace, and that continual exposure over time will most surely lead to other types of illnesses, possibly leukemia, brain tumors. As a healthcare worker, the other very alarming fact to me is that when a person comes into our hospital needing care for chemical exposure, we don't even know what to treat them for, because the disclosure from the ag companies as to what is being sprayed into the air is hidden to us all. The ag companies refuse to say what they're spraying around our schools, our homes, near our streams. This is absurd to me. Knowing what the chemical is and being able to properly treat the patient is absolutely imperative in order to ensure a successful outcome for that patient.
My name is Rick Godding. I support the bill. I've been a physician on this island for 9 years. I see patients in Waimea, Lihue, and Kilauea. So I interact with the people throughout the island. My concern about this issue first began several years ago when our cancer fellowship trained surgeon stated that she was troubled by the incidence of cancer on the island, specifically on the west side. She also expressed concern that she was encountering clusters of very rare cancers. I also heard the pediatricians lament the incidence of asthma on the west side. The most senior OBGYN physician on the west side states that he sees a much higher than expected incidence of severe birth defects such as heart, neurologic, gastrointestinal, and craniofacial than would be expected in a population this size. The most senior OBGYN on the east side states that he can only remember one serious birth defect in the last decade. One of the oncologists on the island gave a lecture when the cancer center opened about the high cancer rate on the island, specifically on the west side, using Hawaii State Cancer and Practice data. There's also strong recent research showing that diabetes rates are increased dramatically by pesticide exposure. A large majority of the medical community, especially on the west side, have very serious concerns about the issue. I have letters from many physicians here, which I would like to submit to the Council for Public Record.
Exposure during pregnancy retards the mental development in children and has been banned from home use since 2001, according to the EPA. And these are just 2 toxic chemicals that have been detected of the many used. I'm very concerned that without this bill, we are putting our ohana at extreme health risks. I am also very concerned about being in the middle of a high restricted pesticide use area when I give birth to my 2nd child.
A letter in support of this bill and supporting statements by the American Academy of Pediatrics was signed and sent to the Council. It was signed by me, Dr. Wotering, Dr. Carolyn, Dr. Wiener, Dr. Yu, Dr. Caro, Dr. Nelson, Dr. Knox, Dr. Godding, Dr. Riola, Dr. Niedi, Dr. Grande, Dr. Hopkins, Dr. Sputstosa, and Dr. Gambi. One final point. There is new research that we may find is the most worrisome of all. Pesticides like Roundup have been thought to be safe because they affect a metabolic pathway found in plant cells and not found in humans or animal cells. The problem is that our health is very dependent on the so-called good bacteria that live on our skin and in our intestines. There are 10 bacteria for every 1 human cell. In other words, there are 10 times more bacteria than human cells in our body. These good bacteria act to clean out waste, protect us from infections, digest our foods, and even produce vitamins. We cannot live without the good bacteria in our body. There is frightening new research suggesting that every one of these bacteria has the type of metabolic pathway that Roundup does adversely affect. When the good bacteria are killed, bacteria that are not as good for us can flourish, and they not only don't help your body, they actually produce toxins that can harm our body.
If you could summarize.
My message to the Council and the people of Kauai: enough. 18 tons of pesticides being sprayed annually in our lands needs controlling. It is dangerous. We will look back thinking, how did we allow this to happen? This bill represents an important step in bringing control to these dangerous practices. Thank you for listening.
Excuse me. I'm an expecting mother. My knowledge on genetically modified organisms and pesticides is ever growing. And as an expecting parent, how can I feel secure when I hear about the very real living conditions on the West Side and the degree of health issues their children have been suffering from? How can I feel secure about the health of my child when 5 of the largest chemical companies are here on Kauai, using our sacred land as an experiment? How can I feel secure when I learn this testing, along with the general use of pesticides, can compromise the intelligence of my child? That study comparisons have found pesticides linked to childhood cancers, autism, ADHD, birth defects, asthma, diabetes. If I were to be exposed to pesticides during my pregnancy, my child is already at risk of cancer and reproductive health issues. The data behind chemical production and disease is blatant, and the study Failure to Yield proves that genetically modified organisms are not what's feeding the world. When it comes down to it, it doesn't make sense to saturate life with poison. And it certainly doesn't make sense to argue that that poison does not have an effect on the surrounding environments or people exposed to them, whether they be via air, water, or food. These chemical companies need to be held liable for the harm they are causing. At the very least, labeling of GMOs and disclosure of chemicals used in their facilities should be standard. The choices we make as consumers with the food we eat is our responsibility, but the sovereignty over the air we breathe and water we drink cannot be compromised. Dow, Syngenta, Monsanto, BASF, DuPont, Pioneer, they have deceived us long enough. County Council, please give us the right to know and pass Bill 2491.
My name is Cade Watanabe, and I stand before you today on behalf of Unite Here Local 5, a local labor organization representing nearly 10,000 hotel, healthcare, and food service workers throughout our state. You have before your organization's written testimony, but I would like to offer some additional comments in support of the measure and share with you why our members have taken such an interest in this bill. Like you, we believe our community deserves the right to know what impacts the GMO industry and related pesticide use is having on our community, and we believe that Bill 2491 is a reasonable and fair attempt at informing and protecting our community's health and natural environment. We thank you for this opportunity afforded to us today to voice our concerns and reestablish our trust and faith with respect to a government acting in the interest of the people. But we here shouldn't be confused. The powerful players maneuvering about in our community have imposed on us the fear and threat of losing jobs. It doesn't do us or this community any good if the jobs we have aren't enough to sustain our families, if they make us ill, destroy our lands, or result in us inheriting a quality of life that is lesser than that of our mothers and grandfathers.
I'm a founding member of GMO Free Kauai, and I'm grateful to be here today. I appreciate the community dialogue that has been taking place on both sides of the issue, here and elsewhere. One line has stuck with me. and that is of the biotech workers saying that they would not harm their children. As a father with a small child, I completely understand the desire to protect one's children. I want all children to be safe. What I want to ask, with the utmost respect for everyone, is how can we really be sure the children of Kauai are safe from the effects of pesticides and GMOs? Have we done any health surveys to check for clusters of disease? Have we done medical screenings, blood work, and other studies to see if people living around the fields carry contaminants in their bodies right now? I think it is well understood that these chemical pesticides are dangerous to people when they are exposed to them, especially over the long term. Children seem to be especially vulnerable to their effects. It has been shown that these chemicals can spread throughout the environment. We have on Kauai a biotech industry that uses chemicals that are very serious and have the potential to affect the people of Kauai in adverse ways. Instead of letting these companies operate in a free-for-all manner, it is reasonable for the community to want basic information about their operations with these dangerous chemicals. We need this information to make sure that the people of Kauai, the children of Kauai, are not being harmed. Without this information, how will we have any real idea about what is happening? How will we really know the children are safe? This is a historic vote for Kauai, and I hope you consider the need to protect the health and well-being of the people of Kauai when making your choice. This is a bill where your vote may set a path for Kauai and define your legacy as lawmakers. Please make sure that the children of Kauai are kept safe and pass Bill 2491. Thank you.